Good evening, everyone. As we welcome here in the shul, joining us, Gedalia Engel, Ruben Shanet, Barish Gesserman, Michal Avram Chavin, Rich Lenner, and joining us here on our Zoom family, as people are slow to arrive tonight, we have Aaron Swade and Shelley Zeitlin, and we have Yisrael Fisher in Brooklyn, putting drops in his eyes, and Mel Zachter, Irving Fishbaum, Saba, Moshe Lehman, Nachman Chapler, Baruch Ian, Yitzi Fuchs, Eddie Chazan, Ilya Shutman, Dr. Ruven Guy, Yitzi Muller, Abe Arbach, and David Helfgott is joining us on Kol HaLashon as we are learning the new Mishnah on Daf Kuf Yud Zayin Amud Beis on the bottom, Kuf Yud Zayin Amud Beis on the bottom. We're coming in the home stretch over here as we're getting ready for the big finale tomorrow night, plus a Gevaldige Chumash Shir being sponsored this week by our very own Barish Gesserman and family. And then, of course, the big start. Somebody told me that there might be some kind of interference with two people arguing with each other. They call it a debate. Absolutely no one should miss the start of Bava Basra for the debate. If you really must, you feel it's needed for your soul to watch the debate, record it. I don't know how you do that, but figure it out. But no one should...
We have our own version with Marshall. We're fine.
Right. If anybody should have a Havamina, that it's considered, a tzrichasa to miss starting Bava Basra to watch, because they think that by watching it, they will be informed about what the outcome of the presidential election will be, and then they will be able to sleep easier. You're not going to sleep easier if you miss Bava Basra Daf Beis because of the presidential debate.
Imagine record on YouTube anyways. They can look at it.
Yeah, of course. But anyway, I shouldn't. Shelley is saying, why would Rabbi Weiss even have to say that? Nobody would be stupid enough to do that. But I know. I see it in Shelley. I mean, you're right. You're right. I don't. Somebody's going to say it's Shalom Bayis. My wife wants to watch it with me. So tell them it's better for the Shalom Bayis for you to go to learn.
I didn't even know there was a debate.
Either did I. I just found it out. Yeah.
It's not going to be a debate. One is going to sloop.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So anyway, we are holding by the new Mishnah, the Chain Beis Habad Shubani Besela. What happens is that Irving has a olive press built in a domed rock. It's very ingenious. What Irving did is he carved out a rock and he put an olive press in it, so that way it was protected from the rain. And Eddie, who's always looking to buy real estate, Eddie planted a garden on top of Irving's dome. Right? So Eddie has a garden. He's growing Brussels sprouts and tomatoes and avocados on top of the dome that it encases Irving's olive press. The Gina Achas al Gabav, Eddie has a garden on top, the Nifchas, and Irving's dome fell apart. So now Eddie lost his garden. So the din is, Eddie could go down and plant on the bottom of the dome, because I guess what happened is the base of Bat also collapsed. So now Eddie could go and plant on the bottom. The base badai keeping until Irving puts back up the dome. Now here, Hakaisava Ilan Shinaf Larishas Rabba, a wall or a tree. What happened over here is that Dr. Black has a wall fronting the Rishus Harabim, or a tree on the side of the Rishus Harabim, and it suddenly fell down without warning. Without warning, there was a hurricane, and the wall or the tree fell into Rishus Harabim, Viziku, and did damage, since he could not foresee that such a thing would happen. Potter Melasham. Not only that, if somebody walks there and gets damaged on it, trips on it, again, if it happened right away, then Dr. Black is exempt. However, Nosnalois man, if they gave him time, which we'll see, they gave him 30 days. They saw that the tree was a little bit shaky, or lister as a kaisel, or to dismantle the wall. If if it fell within the 30 days, potter. So then Dr. Black was derelict in his responsibility, then he's chayiv. What happened here is Dr. Black has a wall near Yisrael Fisher's garden, up in Tan Israel. V'nofal, and the wall fell into Yisrael's garden. V'amalei panei avonecha, and Yisrael tells Dr. Black, get rid of your stones. You know, it's messing up my garden. V'amalei, and Dr. Black, who's a busy man, says, Higiyucha, you could keep the stones. Don't bother me. Ain't shayminlai. We don't listen to Dr. Black, but we tell him, look, you got to get rid of your nuisance from Yisrael's land. However, mishikibel alav, if Dr. Black told Yisrael, keep it, and Yisrael said, okay, I'll keep it, and then Yisrael clears it out of his field, out of his garden, and Amalei, and then Dr. Black has second thoughts and says, Hilech es yitziu asecha. Here, take the expenses for cleaning it up. Vani etal eshali, and I'll keep what is mine. I want the blocks back. Ain't Shemelai. Too late, Dr. Black. Now, if let's say Dr. Black is hired, Yisrael Fisher hires Dr. Black to work with him with straw and stubble. And then when they're finished, Dr. Black clears away the straw and the stubble. And Dr. Black says, give me, you promised me $25 an hour, pay up. And Yisrael tells, he's a wise guy, he tells Dr. Black, take the straw and the stubble as your pay. Ain't shaymin. Dr. Black could say, I want the green men. I want the bucks, because it says in the pasuk, "B'yoymai titein schorai." In his day, you should give him his wages. He wants the green men. He wants the cash on the counter. However, mishikibel alav, if Dr. Black says he's going to take the straw and stubble, and then Yisrael has second thoughts, v'amalei heilech scharcha, here's your money. V'ani etal eshali, I'm going to take back the straw. Ain't shaymin lai. Too late. Now, we said nifchasa. We said if the dome collapses. So Rav Amar, when does Eddie get to go downstairs? Beruba, if the majority collapses. V'shmul Amar barba, even if 4x4 tvachim collapses. Rav Amar Baruba, we had this already. Rav Amar Baruba, only majority. Aval Barba, we tell Eddie, no, keep your garden on top, and Irving will give you 4x4 tvachim on bottom. because Adam Zareya Chetzi Lamata v'Chetzi Lamala. A person could be expected to plant some on top and some on bottom. The Shmuel says even ba'arba, even if it springs a hole of 4 by 4 tvachim, Eddie could come down entirely because ein adam zereh chetzi lamata v'chetzi lamala. You can't expect him to do half on top and half at below. Now we said this same machlokes earlier in the event where Eddie was living upstairs and Shelley was living downstairs, and we said there was a machlokes Rav and Shmuel if it's a hole throughout the majority, or even a hole by 4 by 4. So the Gemara says with tzricha they have to argue both by the garden and by the house. Why do they have to argue by both? Di ashmina dira. If we say the case where Eddie is living upstairs, Shelley is living downstairs, ba'akama Shmuel, there is where Shmuel says even if it's 4 by 4, Eddie could come live down completely downstairs, because when it comes to living, people don't live in two different places. People don't live in a little bit here and a little bit there. One, part upstairs and part downstairs. Avalinian Zriya, people have patches of planting in different areas. People do plant a little bit here, a little bit there. So maybe that it's only if it's ruba. And if it says in the case of the planting, only if it's the majority, but if it's only 4 by 4, he could tell him, leave most of your garden upstairs and have only 4 by 4 downstairs, because the people plant in different places. By a house, that even if it's 4 by 4, Eddie could come down and live completely downstairs, because people don't live in two different places. So tzricha that Rav and Shmuel argue in both cases. Now, Nosloizman, we said if the court gives Dr. Block time to take down his tree or to take down his wall, so says the Gemara of Kamazman, how much time? The Kamazman Bezdin, Rabbi Yochanan Shloshim Yom. Now, if you remember, we said that in the case where Yisrael, Dr. Block's wall fell into Yisrael's property. So Yisrael tells Dr. Block, clear it away. Dr. Block says, keep it. So he said, if Yisrael says no, then Dr. Block has to clear it away. If Yisrael says yes, right, and then if he clears it away, and then Dr. Block changes his mind and says, here's your expense for clearing it away, I want it back, too late. So the Gemara makes a nifty diak, a clever diak. The implication is only if Yisrael cleared it away, because it says, Dr. Block says, changes his mind and says, here's your expense. But if he didn't clear it away, even though Yisrael said, okay, I'll keep it, Dr. Block could change his mind and want it back. So the Gemara says, why? Why isn't it enough where Yisrael says, okay, I'll keep it, and then his chotzer, where it is, his garden, should acquire it? So let's see the Gemara inside. Since the Sefer says that Dr. Block said, hey lech yitziyaisecha, here's your expenses for clearing it away, now give me the stones back, michlal de paninu askina. It implies that when is Yisrael locked in to keep the stones? Only because he cleared them away. Time of the paninu. Haloi paninu, but if he didn't clear them away, just Dr. Black said, take it, and he says yes, loy, that's not enough. Am I? Once he says, okay, I'll keep it, it should be acquired by his field. That a person's courtyard acquires for him even without his consent. And surely over here, where Rabbi Yisrael says he wants it, says the Gemara, yeah, but where do we say a person's courtyard acquires for him? Hani mili, when you have the das hamakne, that Dr. Block really wanted to give it to him. But here, Yisrael said, clear it away. Dr. Block said, you know what, you take it. Says, you know what, Dr. Block really didn't mean it. He's a busy man. He was just trying to push it off in order that he shouldn't bug him. And that's what the Gemara says, Hani miliecha de kamachavan la knuyele. Aval hacha, but over here, he was just trying to procrastinate and get Yisrael off his hair. But he didn't mean to give it to him. It's only if after Yisrael already cleared it away that Dr. Block can't back out. Now, the Gemara says the same machloikis by the straw. That if Yisrael hires Dr. Block to clear away straw and stubble, and then when he does it, and Dr. Block he holds out his hand, pay me, so Yisrael says, keep the straw and stubble. So the Mishnah says he doesn't have to. But if he does agree to keep it, and then Yisrael wants it back, too late, tough luck, tough noogies. Says the Gemara, v'tzricha. We need to have the argument in both cases. If we say the case of the racks, when Dr. Block tells him, you know what, keep the racks, ain't shaymin lay. The reason why we don't listen to him is mishum deles le'agragabe, because Yisrael didn't do any work for Dr. Block that he could tell him keep the rocks. Aval hacha the islay agragabe, but here where Dr. Block worked for Rabbi Yisrael, we might think that if Yisrael says take the straw stubble, the straw stubble is worth the money he owed him. He owed him $125, and the straw and stubble is worth $125. So I might think, I might say, we tell Dr. Block, you know what? You're lucky you're getting paid. A lot of people don't get paid these days. I might think, Shaymin Lay, the Amalei, because we say, the Amri Inche, Mimore Rashvasech, from the one that owes you money, Parei Efrai. You should even take bran. The Iashminan Hacha. And if we would say the case of the straw, so Hacha Shemishikibal Alav, once Dr. Block says, I'll take the straw, ain't Shaymin Lay, we don't listen to Rabbi Yisrael to say, no, I changed my mind, I'll give you the money. Mishum D'Isay Igra Gabe, because the bottom line is Rabbi Yisrael had to pay him, and once he said keep the straw, so that's his wages. Dr. Block didn't do any work for Yisrael. The stones fell in. I might say that if Dr. Block decides the last minute that he wants his stone back, I might think we should listen to him. Tzricha, that we don't. Says the Gemara, now we have a stira. And I want to talk about this a little bit outside first. Remember that Dr. Block is gathering straw and stubble for Yisrael. And Yisrael tells him, you know what? Keep the straw and stubble as your wages. So the Mishnah says he can't do that. He has to pay him legal tender. He has to pay him bucks. I mean, Dr. Black will take Zelle, he'll take PayPal, he'll take Venmo, even though he's a little bit old-fashioned. But if he has to, he'll learn how to do that. But, he's not taking straw stubble. That's the halacha. Ain't shaymin lo. He doesn't have to listen. Like we said, it said in the pasuk, "B'yomo titein schara." You got to pay the green man. Says the Gemara, but we have a stira. Ay vatanya shaymin lo. So now the Gemara says, oh, there's a place where it says that he has to listen to Yisrael. He has to take the straw. Amar Rav Nachman lo kasha. There's no difficulty. Kan b'shaloi, kan b'shal chaveiroi. One is where Dr. Black was clearing Yisrael's courtyard. And he was clearing Yisrael's courtyard of the straw and stubble. Kan b'shal chaveiroi. Here, Dr. Black is clearing Irving's courtyard. And he's clearing Irving's courtyard. He's not clearing Dr. Black. Yisrael said to Dr. Black, I want you to clear Irving's courtyard. In this case, Dr. Black has to accept the straw as pay. So the Gemara says, I don't understand. What's the difference if he told him to clear his courtyard or clear Irving's courtyard? Amalei Rabbi Rav Nachman b'shaloi my timer. What's the reason if it was his courtyard that he can't tell Dr. Black to accept the straw? Da'amalei igra Allah, you got to pay me money. B'shel chaver nami, even if Yisrael commissioned Dr. Black to clear Irving's courtyard, scharei alav, still, Dr. Black says, I don't care, you gave me the job to clear Irving's courtyard, you got to pay me. The Tanya Seicher es hapayel asas b'shaloi. If Yisrael hires Dr. Black to do something for him, and he shows him somebody else's property to clear, he has to pay him. Since he commissioned Dr. Black to clean Irving's field, Dr. Black has to pay, Yisrael has to pay Dr. Black. And then afterwards he could try to claim the money from Irving. And now he could claim from Irving, I gave you a benefit, pay for it. So it doesn't make sense. Why should that be a difference? It's a difference that's not a difference. So now the Gemara gives another answer. To know this answer, you have to have a preface over here. You have to know that if I see a gold cross pen in the street, and I pick it up for Saba, the din is Saba doesn't acquire it. Now you'll say, why not? The din is Zachin Adam Shalei B'fanav. You could merit for somebody not in their presence. It's a gold cross pen. Saba, doesn't mind a gold cross pen. Right? He could write his tzedakah checks with a gold cross pen. Why not? Rav Nachman holds that you can't be zoiche in something for someone else, b'mokum shechav la'acherim, where it's detrimental to others. Because when I pick it up for Saba, 5 minutes later, Aaron is going to walk there. And he would have taken it. So I'm picking it up for somebody else where it's detrimental to others. So there is a shita that you can't be zoiche in something for someone. We learned this, if you remember, we learned this in Peah. That you can't, an ani can't pick it up for another ani. A poor man can't pick it up for another poor man when he's hurting the other poor people. So now let's see the Gemara's chiluk over here. Let's see it inside. El Amar Rav Nachman loy kasha kan b'shaloi kan b'shal hefker. One is where Dr. Black was working for Yisrael, clearing his yard. Then he can't tell him to keep the straw. He has to pay him cash. But if he told him, I want you to clear this straw for me from Hefker, so that means that Yisrael asked that Dr. Black could gather the straw for him. The end of the day is he can't acquire it for Yisrael. Because if you try to pick up something from Hefker when it's detrimental to others, he doesn't acquire it. And since he doesn't acquire it, he didn't do anything for Yisrael. So therefore, he didn't do the job. So therefore, he doesn't have to pay him. So he tells him, look, keep the straw. That's all he could get out of it. He might as well keep it. Says the Gemara, Rav Nachman. So Rav asked Rav Nachman a clever question. It's a clever question. The din is that if I hire Mel to work for me, and while working, he finds a diamond ring. So if I tell him, weed for me, or hoe for me, and he finds a diamond ring, he gets to keep the diamond ring, because he's only working to weed or hoe. But if I make up with him, your work for the hour is mine. You're mine for the hour. Then if he finds the diamond ring, if he's smart, he won't pick it up. But if he finds the diamond ring, it's mine. Because he's an extension of me. Then in that case, according to this, if Yisrael tells Dr. Black to clear the straw of Hefker, so then Dr. Black belongs to me or to Yisrael for that hour. So then when he takes the straw, it becomes Yisrael's. So then Yisrael should have to pay him. Let's see it inside. If Mel finds something when he's working, he could keep it. If the Balbayis says, weed the field for me, or hoe it for me. If I say you belong to me for today, then the diamond ring is mine. Here's a simple answer. L'kash, it is no difficulty. Kan ba'gva, kan ba'habata. One is where Yisrael tells Dr. Black to pick up the straw for him. If he tells him to pick up the straw for him, then Yisrael acquires it. And since he belongs to, Yisrael tells him to pick it up, and since Dr. Black belongs to Yisrael for the day, so it becomes Yisrael's, and then Yisrael has to pay him cash. Kamba Abata, he tells him, watch it. Oh, watch it? Watching stuff from Hefker doesn't acquire it. If I tell Rich, watch that wallet over there, I'm coming to get it. And then Berish comes and takes it, he doesn't acquire it by watching it. Says Gemara, it's not so simple. It's actually a machlokes. It's actually a machlokes if by watching something of Hefker, if you acquire it. It's an interesting question, right? We would say for sure it's not. But I'm a rabbi, habata behefker, watching something of Hefker Tanoi. It's a machlokes Tanoim. It's not. It's a very interesting case. You know that during a Shemitah year, once every 7 years, during Shemitah in Eretz Yisrael, you have to leave the land fallow. The big Kiddush Hashem, the big sanctification of Hashem's names, that people during the year of Shemitah, they don't work their property for an entire year. You should know what the farmers in Eretz Yisrael, it's an amazing thing. They have bids from Costco, and they tell them, look, we can't fill our bids this year. They have huge machinery on lease, multi-year lease. They have to continue paying the lease on their machinery, and they can't work the field that year. It's an amazing. It's heroism. It's unbelievable heroism. This is that's why it says about those that keep Shemitah, Giborei Koyach, mighty people. There are stories, amazing stories. There was a time that many farmers, when they first started the land of Israel, that many farmers did not keep Shemitah. There was the farms of Kaimimius under Rav Mendelssohn kept Shemitah. Huh?
He supported.
Not enough. They kept Shemitah. And of course they grew a meager crop in the 6th year. And they were hoping to survive on the 6th year's crop. And there came a devastating plague of locusts and destroyed the farms in the entire region. And they saw the hordes of locusts coming towards Kamimias. And they stopped at Kamimias. They didn't come into Kamimias. They didn't eat the fields of Kamimias. And the Chazain Ish said that this needs to be publicized all over the world. The miracle that happened. This is a known miracle. It's documented by the secular press. The locusts didn't go into Kamimias, It's like unbelievable. Anyway, so talking about the Shemitah, even during the Shemitah year, we have to bring the Omer, the carbon Omer on the 16th of Nisan from barley, and the Shtei Alechem, the 2 loaves, on Shavuos. But we're going to get the grain, barley and the wheat. So you have to get it from Svichim. Svichim are aftergrowths. Aftergrowths are seeds that fell from the growth of the 6th year. The seeds fell by themselves and they grew by themselves. They're called Svichim, aftergrowths. So when they found aftergrowths, they hired guards from the money of the Trumas Alishka, from the money of the temple coffers, in order to pay them. So now let's see how this develops. Remember, we're talking, I got lost in the discussion, we're talking over here, that is an argument if by just watching ownerless items you acquire it. So the Gemara says, one other thing, communal things like the Omer and the Shtei Alechem have to be brought from communal money. They can't be bought from private funds. It has to come from the community. It can't come from private funds. It can't be brought by an individual. An individual can't do communal karbanas, communal sacrifices, communal offerings. So now, let's see this inside. The Tanan. Shomrei Svichei Shvius, those that watch, the guards that watch the aftergrowth of Shvius, so that it should be available for the carbon Omer, for the Shtei Alechem, Noitlon Schoren mit Trumas Halishka. They take their payment for doing guard duty from the special collection in the chamber in the temple. Rabbi Yaisi Omer, Rabbi Yaisi says, Aroitza Misnadev, who? If he wants, he could dedicate his time and be l'shomer chinam. Amrulai, they said to him, if you're going to say that, Amrulai ata omer kain, if you're going to say that, then the problem will be that ein bon mishal tzibur. Then the Omer and the Shtei Alechem won't come from the tzibur. It will come from an individual, and that's no good. So my love, says the Gemara, they're arguing as follows. The Tanakama Savar Habata Behefker Kani. That looking at Hefker acquires it. And therefore, the Iyov Le Igra, if you pay the guard, well, his rich is watching it. So if he's paid, so then when he watches it, he's watching it for hektish, and it becomes community funds. It becomes community barley, community wheat. But the Eloi. But if not, then if he's working without pay, then he acquires it from himself. And then it's his. And it's not going to belong to the community. Rabbi Yaisi says, Habata behefker loikani. That rich looking at it doesn't acquire it. So you don't have to pay him. If you want, you could give it to, if he wants to be a good guy, he could do guard duty for free. And then when the gizba, when the temple treasurer cuts it down, it's only then that he acquires it. And when they go and cut it down, that's when they acquire it. And what does it mean, ata omer? Hachi kamerle, midvarecha, according to you, according to you, that you say that they should guard it for free, lidvarenu, according to us, that we say that the one who guards it acquires it, then then it's not coming from the tibber. It's coming from an individual. It's coming from rich, and that wouldn't be good. Amar Rava. So Rava says now a second shot. Like the kuli alma habata be'efker kani. Everybody holds that rich, when he guards it, he acquires it. However, rich wasn't born yesterday. Rich knows that it's no good if it comes from his. It can't be a Leonard production. It has to be a Klal Yisrael production. Right? Can't be a Leonard production. So, we're questioning whether Rich is going to give it over wholeheartedly to the community, or he's going to say, you know what? This year I want it to be a Leonard production. I want it to be from me. Right? The Rabbanan Savrei, the Rabbanan hold we got to pay him. Yavinu le'igra, v'iloi, because if not, we're afraid he's not going to give it over wholeheartedly. While Rabbi Yaisi Sava, Rabbi Yaisi holds, and then, now, what does it mean? Wow, I'm looking over here at the art scroll. Look at this. There's 7 pages of art scroll on this daf. 6. That's an incredible amount of pages for one amud. 6 pages of art scroll for one amud. Wow. Says the Gemara, then what does it mean over here that so Gemara says, Hachi kamerle, midvarecha, according to you that we don't pay rich, lidvarenu, according to us that we're afraid that he might not give it over wholeheartedly, the lidvarenu, the chayshirat shemalayim yafa yafa, then it's not going to come from the tzibur. It's good to have Richard Rosenzweig joining us. See, Richard, we got the Facebook fixed. It was a problem with my screensaver. My plastic that was on the screen had a crack, and that crack caused. It's a really a rare thing. But anyway. Philippe, it's good to have you, as we are on the bottom of Kuf Yud Ches Amud Aleph, coming down the home stretch over here in one of the, what I consider, of all the Masechtas of Shas, one of the most difficult Masechtas, containing 2 prakim, Eizah, Neshech, and Azov, especially that are from the most difficult prakim in Shas. So everybody that does this knows that they could do, like Eddie says, after this, easy schmeezy, I could do it with 2 cars tied behind my back. Now, the Ikadamre, a third pshat. Shelley says he always likes a third pshat. Ikadamre, others say, Rav Amar Dikuli Alma Habata Behefker Loikani, which, by the way, is the halacha. Just looking at Hefker doesn't acquire it. That doesn't help. But you know why we want to pay rich? Because svich and aftergrowths are not that common. And people are hungry. And we're afraid if we don't pay rich, some rough guys will come and snatch it. Oh, if we pay him money from Hektish, they're not messing with the national, he's more than the National Guard. He's a national representative of Hektish. He's a big cheese. He's a top tomato. Then we're not going to mess around with him. It says in Gemara, the Tanakama suffer. The Tanakama holds the Takin Rabban L'Meisalei Arba Zuzi, the Rabbanin enacted to give him 4 zuz, ki eichi delishmei balei zrois, so that rough people shouldn't strong arm him. They'll stay away because he's a representative of the temple. Rabbi Yaisi Sava Loi Takinu, they weren't concerned. Now this is a little tricky. Oma ata omer, hachi kama, midvarecha, according to you, that we don't pay rich, lidvarenu, according to us, that we're supposed to pay rich, then that means that there's 4 zuz in the temple that really belongs to rich. Then ein bon mishal sibur. Then if we use that money for something else, when we buy karbanet tzibur with that money, then ein bon mishal tzibur, because that's rich's money. V'chein ki asa Rabban Amar Reb Yochanan, he says the reason why we pay rich money is because chayshishin l'balei zrois ikabeinayu. The question is, if we're worried about hoodlums who, even though rich is standing there, will push him away and grab the precious svichen, but once they know he's paid from the temple, he's a national representative, they're not going to mess around with him. Now, says the Heilige Mishnah, and by the way, Rabbi say we're almost finished because we're only going to go to the next Mishnah, because if you look at tomorrow's daf, it's only a few lines, and we also have to save some of it for the eventual siyum. So we won't have that much to do tomorrow night, which is good, because we're going to have a wonderful Chumash here. Parashat Shlach is really, really exciting Chumash here, so stay tuned for that. Says the Mishnah, Hamoitzi Zevel Rishus Harabim, if let's say Berish puts manure outside in the Rishus Harabim, somebody is picking it up to fertilize his field. Hamoitzi, he could put it out, but V'mazavel, the one that's picking up the fertilizer better come right away. You're not allowed to keep it for a duration in the public area. Ein shoyrin tit b'rishus harabim, you can't soak clay in the rishus harabim. Ve'ein loivnin leveinim, nor can you lay out clay in a block and then use a instrument to cut out the bricks. You can't keep that. That's not the public thoroughfare is not for that. Aval goivlin tit b'rishus harabim, you could quickly knead clay in the rishus harabim to make mortar. Aval loy leveina, but you can't knead clay to make bricks, which takes a longer time. Now, abayna b'rishus harabim, let's say that Nachman is building in the rishus harabim, but his house is in the rishus hayachim. So hamevi avonim mevi. So the one that brings the brick could bring it, but he has to hand it over to the builder. V'abayna bayna. In other words, they could work in the Rosh Hashanah on a building that's being built in the Rosh Hashanah. But as Rashi learns, the one who brings the rack can't even put it down. He has to hand it to the builder, and the builder has to put it into the wall. And even then, even if done right, v'im hizik mishalom asher hizik. If it does damage, the builder drops the rock on someone's leg, he has to pay for the damage. Shimon Gamliel Aimer, af misakenu es malachtoi lifnei shloshim yom. He could leave the building materials in the Rosh Hashanah 30 days before putting it into the house, and if he does it according to license, if it damages someone, he's not chayiv. Now, our Mishnah seems to imply that you can't leave manure in the Rosh Hashanah at all. You put it down, and the one that uses it has to pick it up right away. So the Gemara says, "Lema masnisa de like Rabbi Yehuda." Let's say our Mishnah is not like Rabbi Yehuda. The Tanya Rabbi Yehuda Aimer b'shas haitzas zvolim, during the season of taking out manure into the street. As we will see, the manure becomes more suitable for fertilizer when people and animals step and trod upon it. So, b'shas hatzas zvalim, at the time when it was the custom to take out manure, you could take out your manure into the public and pile it up for 30 days in order that it should be trod upon by human feet and animal feet, because this was one of the stipulations that Yeshua enacted when he conquered Eretz Yisrael. With these stipulations, Yeshua gave the land to the people. Says the Gemara, no. Afilu Taim Rabbi Yehuda. It could even be according to Rabbi Yehuda that you have the license to do it. But Rabbi Yehuda agrees, Shem Hizik Chayiv L'Shalim, that if it does damage, you have to pay. Says the Gemara, but wait a second. Rabbi Yehuda's opinion is when you have permission, you don't have to pay. Because what Tanan, we learned in Bava Kama, the din is that if I put a fire outside of my store and your animal passes by with flax and it gets ignited by my fire, I'm chayiv, because I shouldn't keep a fire in the street. But if it's Hanukkah, where I have to have it outside my door, then I'm not chayiv because I had permission. So you see, where you have permission, you're not chayiv. My lav rishus the bezdin, doesn't that mean simply rishus of the court? Says, well, no. Chanuk menorah is different, because it's a mitzvah. Lai rishus the mitzvah. Says, still, we know that Rabbi Yehuda holds that if you have permission, you're not chayiv. Because Vatanya kol elu she'amru mutarim lekalka b'rishus harabim. All of these cases where we say you could do something that blemishes the rishus harabim, like putting out fertilizer or letting your waste go into the rishus harabim. But im hizik chayiv l'shalom, if it does damage, you're chayiv to pay. In other words, do it at your own risk. Rabbi Yehuda pater. So you see, Rabbi Yehuda says the pater. It says, well, you're right. Our Mishnah is not like Rabbi Yehuda. Like Rabbi Yehuda. Now the Gemara tells us a common denominator. Amar Abaya, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, and Rabbi Shimon Kulu Svirulu. They all hold wherever the rabbis gave permission to do something, if you did it within the proper license, and it damaged someone, you're potter. Rav Yehuda said that if you put it out during the 30 days and it damages someone, you're potter. Reb Shimon Gamliel, not only are you not chayiv if you gave it to the builder right away, but you could even leave the building materials there a month before, and if it damages, you're potter. And Reb Shimon, this is something we learned in Masechtas Bava Kama. Ditnan, if you live on a second story and you have an oven, which is hot, for fire safety, you have to have underneath it a plaster of 3 tvachim, about 12 inches. Ubekira, if it's a double stove, which has smaller fires, it's enough a tefach. And even if you do the proper zoning, but vim hizik mishal hizik, if it does damage, you have to pay for the damage. Reb Shimon says, no. If you kept the zoning, then you're not chayiv. It says these amounts, elashim hizik. If you kept the zoning, patam l'sham, you don't have to pay. Now, for the final Gemara of this evening, how exciting is this? Wow. How exciting is this? Tomorrow, 118 days of really hard work coming to fruition. It's really something. Really something. Tana Rabbanan. Hakatziv, the one who quarries rock out of the quarry. This reminds me that my father of blessed memory, he quarried rock. That's where they sent him in Auschwitz. Auschwitz, every day he went to the quarry, and he said many of his friends were shot to death because they fell asleep there, and if they fell asleep for a moment, they were shot. They were shot. My father told me that he was on the 3rd level of the triple-decker in Auschwitz, and it was so filthy that sewer rats were nibbling at his toe. And he said even then he just went to sleep. Because if you didn't go to sleep, if you fell asleep at the mine, they shot you. It's unbelievable how they lived. Unbelievable. So Achatzev, the one who quarried the rock, Shemosar Lisatas, who handed it over to the one who chiseled the rock, if it did damage, Hasatas Chayiv, the chiseler is Chayiv. Hasatas Shemosar Lechamor, the chiseler that gave it over to the donkey who would cart the rock to the building site, and it did damage, Hakamar Chayiv. Hakamar Shemosar Lekosef, the donkey driver that gave it over to the porter that would carry it from the donkey to the building, then HaKosef Chayiv. HaKosef, the porter, Shemosar Lebanai, that gave it to the builder, HaBanai Chayiv, the builder is Chayiv. HaBanai Shemosar Adrichal. Adrichal is the bricklayer. I remember when we did a bricklaying ceremony 30 some odd years ago by the shul, we put up a wall, and many of the people listening here put in bricks in that wall. Irving put in a brick, Ruvain put in a brick, Mel put in a brick. Shelley, did you put in a brick?
I think in absentia. I remember it on the tapes. I don't know if I sent a check or not, but I certainly remember the event.
Aaron, did you? No? You didn't put in a brick? Not only did I put in a brick, but all my children put in bricks. I have pictures of my children, little children putting in bricks. I have a picture, not all of them. Yocheved was a baby. I have a picture of Miriam Libby putting in a brick. I have a picture of Ruvain and Rebbetzin Feinstein putting in a brick.
Who did the cornerstone?
Huh? Well, you saw the piece. That was the official cornerstone. Is the piece there in the shul that has my father's name on it and the different names. That was the official cornerstone. It has my Aunt Ricky on it, my grandfather on it. Yeah. Adrichel chayiv, the master bricklayer is chayiv. V'im honiach even ala dimas, if the stone was put on the row, and after that vezika, and it did damage, kulon chayavim l'sham. They're all chayiv to pay. Row, yeah. Row. Vatanya says the Gemara, achrain chayiv, the last one is chayiv, the kulon peturin, and they're all pater. Says the Gemara, like cash it can be schiris. One is where it was a hiring. So if the last person was hired was the bricklayer, so only he is going to be chayiv. Can be kablonis. One is where all of these people together were contracted to do the job. Since they were all contracted to do together the job, they are all responsible, not only for the last part, but also for every step of the job. Rabbi said we're going to stop over here now. We did the Mishnah Yomis already.